So I wanted to delve into the holiday of Purim, like take a little bit of a break from, I mean, something that we've been doing covering with the divine names, and I think like we'll see where we navigate with that, with some of the energy that is happening now, and it's we have a lot of new energy, like we were, Miriam, you were saying before about like how the year is just passing by and, and what's upon us now. And what's upon us now is the holiday of Purim and the holiday of Pesach. And both of them signify miracles, miracles within nature, miracles above nature. They signify major shifts that happened in history. And I wanted to explore this holiday, right, of Purim, but not necessarily from going through the story of Purim or even sharing necessarily ideas about that. I feel like we have so much on Purim, right? That's there and that I'll be like sharing with recordings, and there's so much depth that you could learn about. But I kind of wanted to take it to a practical level, to a real level, almost like the intentional, like the output, like what is the final point of really of the holiday of Purim, like where are we actually going with this holiday? And so, like as many of you know, or all of you know, the story of Purim, right, and what happened on Purim and why we celebrate Purim. It's a holiday of salvation. It's a holiday of joy. There's it's a holiday of togetherness, etc. But beyond all of that, it's the holiday of the unknown. It's there's the unknown that then became known. And wherever we are on the cusp of the unknown, we feel the greatest fear and the greatest anxiety and the greatest tension because there is unknown, right? When things are predictable and things are, on a straight line, there's a trajectory that one is on, then they're able to, ascertain what the outcome will be on some level. But when there is like this juncture, there's this place, and almost like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, when the Israelites were by the Sea of Reeds, there was the sea over there, right? And we've been discussing the 72 letter name of how, the above nature became their nature, where they went into the unknown. Well, the holiday of Passover and the going into the Sea of Reeds is a miracle which transcends nature. It's a miracle above nature, while the miracles of Purim is a miracle within nature. It's a miracle within nature, and it's actually hidden while it is happening. So while it's going on, and while all the good stuff is really happening, and all of the calibrations are being, calibrated, and the story is being weaved, and some incredible, outcome is on the horizon. While all of that is happening, there is hiddenness. There's darkness, like there's the unknown. And that place of the unknown is the story of Purim, where they were in a situation of being within a very dark and dire place where there was, an annihilation decree against them, right? The Jewish people, the entire Jewish people, while God was weaving something incredibly magical and miraculous within the stories of the current events, which no one could see, no one knew about because it was happening like so much in front of their eyes. And it was happening underneath the radar, and under earth, there was this growth that was happening that it was unforeseen. It was unpredictable for what was going to transpire and what actually happened. So how do we celebrate Purim? And this is like kind of like the bottom line of all of Purim, right? So, we read the Megillah, we give gifts, shalach matanos le'evyonim, right? There's charity there, and then there's the celebration of a meal, a seuda, where during the meal, one is supposed to reach a level, the Talmud tells us, of inebriation. And the word that is used in the Talmud is chayav adam lebesume. One needs to be literally fragrant, right? So when one has wine is usually fragrant, like a quality cup of wine will be a fragrant cup of wine, right? Do you agree? If it's not fragrant and you can't smell the wine, just whatever, unless you're 18 and you're just, you'll just drink anything. But but you want to have like something fragrant, something that will open up the senses, right? Open up your nose, the taste buds, and that's the incredible beauty of wine, right? That it just opens up our senses, the sensory, perception, ourselves. And so one's supposed to become fragrant, it says on Purim, to the level of adelo yada, until not knowing. Adelo yada, until the not knowing between blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman, which have the same numerology, right? Blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman, the arch enemies, the complete antithesis, right? Darth Vader, right? And they're opposite, the light and the dark. They have the same numerology. And one is supposed to be fragrant. Again, it doesn't say drunk. I mean, people really take it to that level of, of drunkenness, where really it's not about the drunkenness that alcohol could cause us to shut really our true soul senses, right? That's really what alcohol does really. But in this case, right, the inebriation, the lebesume, is supposed to get us to a fragrant place that we can be expanded, essentially, to a place that light and darkness, that the not knowing that darkness brings us, and the fear that comes along with it, because it's the unknown, that also assumes the place and the pedestal of being God's plan. That the not knowing is also God's plan, and God is in that place of the not knowing, and in the place of the darkness. That also in the place of the darkness, God exists, because God does not exist anywhere. God exists everywhere, and that means He is even in the darkness. So the level of inebriation on Purim is this level of accepting this unknown darkness that is in front of us. So I wanted to bring this to a very practical level. Yes, we could speak about this conceptually for a long time, but I wanted to bring this, into our lives in a very, practical way. There's so much that is unknown right now in the world. There's so much that's unknown in our lives, right? There's we are constantly upgraded. Like every single day, our selves, our souls are being upgraded to, to a new level. And it's happening so quickly. And I think that those of us that are sensitive are really, picking this up. And sometimes it's hard to keep up with because it's just like, whoa, and I'm just, going now, but like, where did I come from? Like in the 80s or 90s, like this level of growth would take like 5 years or something, And here within a week or or a month, like there's these shifts that are happening individually and collectively. I mean, we could just look on a world scale level and even on a political level, not political level, like governmental level, where in like a month, I think that the current president, not going into politics, but that the current president has done more in 1 month than I think like the previous president did in 4 years. I mean, that's just my assessment of how fast like everything is going on. Tariffs on Mexico, tariffs on Canada, like the wall is going up and China, it's like, whoa, it is crazy, right? Colombia is being pulled, 400 million from its federal tax. And it's almost like it's so much that we have to kind of like hold ourselves back even from the news and really what's going on in the world because it's happening so quickly because spiritually and emotionally we are being upgraded to the unknown. We're upgrade. Yes, there is the known, and as adults and as mature adults that we've merited to go through, things in our lives and learn a lot in our lives, we have, thank God, the base and the anchoring that I think a lot of people do not have in the world, where it's just going so quickly, exponential, right? On a technological level, right? AI, I mean, VR, I mean, it's absolutely exponential. Social media and how often it's being shared and how much is being shared and what people are on. They're on a digital world, right? And so we, thank God, have something to fall back on, right? We remember, picking up a phone and where there were, what do you call it? The routery phones, like you could actually call, and like the a lot of people, in young people do not have that, and the spiritual anchoring is so important and so essential for us. So, what does this holiday really teach us? It teaches us this every single year, but this year I feel it really is much more impactful. Now, also for another reason, there is, on top of all of the fast-paced things that are going on, there is a lunar eclipse that is happening exactly on Purim. So um, you would say, oh, it's a coincidence, right? Or it's just there are no coincidences. And a lot of people have been asking me about like what the eclipse means. It's like a lunar eclipse is not necessarily the best, you know, omen sign that the Talmud says for the Jewish people, because the Jewish people are compared to the moon, but basically the Jewish people represents the spiritual, like the divine part of the universe that rises like the moon, that waxes and wanes. It's got its ups and it's got its downs. And when the sun and when it's overshadowed, it means that it becomes like, whoa, like overwhelmed in a sense, right? So. Um, it's in the sign of Virgo, which happens to be my sign. So very much connected uh, to this. And by the way, I think that we're going to have like a much more of an in-depth like look at this with Rachel, God willing, on Wednesday. I want to have her on where we could like actually explore these aspects much more from you know, from an astrological level, but a Jewish perspective, and then, looking into what this means. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is obviously it's really important because I'm actually feeling it. So I'm like I'm like, why am I feeling so like um antsy? I don't know the word for that. It's like almost like like this high strungness. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that. There's just like this.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I mean, it's not actually a good thing ever since the October 7th, and it's not just related to negative things. I think it's just like that everything, and I'm so sensitive, everything is, like you were saying, is going so fast. I feel like there's an anxiety, and it's not always a negative anxiety. It's like
Right.
it just feels like there's something coming and things are like moving so fast, and that's the feeling. And a lot of times I don't sleep a lot at night anymore. I'm kind of used to it, and I'm not even tired. Like I'm not, that's just crazy. I don't know. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that exactly on that point, Marcy, of it's not necessarily bad. So I know that I'm painting it like like whoa, there is stuff that is happening and within us, obviously in our lives and everything that we're carrying and what's happening in the world and what's happening astrologically. But really, all of this is asking us to to step into something, and I'd really like to explore that. Um, Shannon, I've had like 3 or 4 days of feeling like I drink. I could relate to that. 10 cups of I couldn't put my finger on what that feels like, but I guess I don't think I've ever had 10 cups of coffee, thank God. But yeah, if I did, I think that maybe is uh would be kind of the feeling. So while at the same time there's so much of expansion that's available, which is so beautiful. So there's this like almost like, feeling of whoa, we're like running a marathon, while like conversely, there's so much expansion, is so much that we're sort of stepping into, right? There's so much available for us. And I think that's at the core of this fear or this anxiety, where if we are scared to move forward, if we don't move forward, right, then we then it's worse. Then we feel stuck. Then we feel like we're capped. We're at this place. So like almost the only option is to move forward, right? To move forward courageously, to move forward gracefully, and to move forward with bitachon, with trust and faith, and emunah and bitachon in that next step, right? In the next available reality, right? That's there. Rivka?
I find it interesting. We know that there is going to be something happening in Iran. Wouldn't that be interesting if it was on Purim, Shushan, and Iran? And we know that something is building up in Gaza with now they have stopped the electricity and stopped
Exactly.
the aid, and Trump is 100% behind it. I mean, in
Yes,
not hindering what Israel is doing. Something's
absolutely.
going to
And
happen. Wouldn't that be interesting? It's on Purim.
I would not be surprised at all. And I think that this is there are so many unknowns in the world, that we are anticipating, right? The world this year is different than the world last year, completely. And the world last year was completely different than the world 2 years ago, right? Whereas like 5 years ago and 5 years prior to that, it's not that different. Whereas here, every single year is like almost like a new world order in a sense. Like the world is being reshifted, right? There's a new country in Syria, basically. Like in between, the who knows what's going on there. But there's there's so much that is happening, right? Outside of us. But most importantly, what is happening inside of us, right? We are feeling these anxieties, these fears of the unknown. Something is birthing, right? So we have two ways of coming out of this birth canal, right? One is basically by like a C-section, right? And a C-section, like basically is like, okay, they're not coming out. So we're gonna have to get them out. And it's like, it's interesting because Mashiach is actually called, one of the references of Mashiach is a Caesar. Because Mashiach, on a certain level, if the world, this is depending on the world, is not necessarily ready for its birth, then there's going to have to be a C-section because the baby has to come out. In other words, we have to birth by hook or by crook. After 9 months, this baby ain't staying in there anymore. It can't be cooking any longer. It's done, right? It's right. It's ready to go. So the only option is a regular birth, a natural birth, which is what we want, right? And it's what we're aiming for. And this holiday of Purim actually gets us I forgot what it's called, that the thing that they give to women in labor. Um, Anyways, Miriam never used it. Miriam never had it. Shalhevet would definitely know as a uh, but but this holiday of Purim is a celebration of
Epidural.
epidural, right? I happen to think it's the opposite because it just holds, like from what I understand, it kind of just like numbs, the body, whereas whereas the pain isn't felt, but the baby's coming out. But like, afterwards, I guess the recovery is really difficult. Um, I mean, I've been by thank God, 10 births with Miriam. So we have been there. I have been there. And I was actually her doula, believe it or not, for the 10 of them. So we did breathing together and we did actually nigunim together. We did deep songs together. And so I'm familiar with birth, although I'm not a female. I do feel, I guess, as a male, somewhat qualified to speak about this birth level, which I think is miraculous, and is complete respect for the female body and for
As
what
a male, I know you would take the epidural right away. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I know how the men work. My husband just had surgery like 2 months ago, so I know how it all, how
Oh
they deal
boy.
with pain.
Yeah, well, anyways, my point isn't the epidural or not, and no judgment at all, but I'm just saying that Purim is not the epidural. Purim is like this natural birth that we're actually going through. We're getting like libisume, we're getting fragrant, with being comfortable on what is on the other side. Being comfortable on what is on the other side. Ad lo yada, until the not knowing. So when one reaches this level of the not knowing between blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman, when we reach that level, that place of even the unknown, or what is the darkness, perceived darkness, is light, then we tap into the essence of Purim. Because the essence of Purim is this high revelation of the unknown coming down into our lives. And in fact, does anyone know what the word Purim actually means? Which is interesting. People know a lot about it, but it's like, what does the name actually mean?
Isn't it the lots,
A
the
lots,
throwing of the...
right? Pur is a lot. And what is a lottery? So I think I played the lottery twice or three times in my life, just because someone's like, yeah, just go. Um, and I think it works. I guess people do it, but there's the unknown when you play the lottery. You just don't know. You don't know what is going to happen, who is going to be picked, who is going to win the, 100 million, power ball thing, or, what's going to happen. You never know. And by the way, they say about a tzaddik, his name was Rabbi Chaim Pinto from Morocco. He was a great Kabbalist. He needed money for his yeshiva. And so he prayed, and then he went and he bought a lottery ticket and he won. And so he supported his yeshiva for like a couple of years from it. And then he needed more money. And so he prayed again and he bought another lottery ticket and he won again. This is a true story. And and I think the Baba Sali, another, great Kabbalist, had a similar story. But the lottery on a spiritual level is King David says, "Ata tomich gorali," that you show my lot. You lead my lottery, my lot. You are my lot. Like when we say lot, lot is my life, my existence, right? Right, wherever we are and whatever is happening is exactly ordained, and it's our lot. We could say our lot in life, right? That's, often it's called the lottery because you play the lottery, but life is a lot that we receive. King David says, "You give me my lot. You are my lot," right? Because wherever we are is exactly ordained and predetermined by Hashem, by God, right? And so we have a lot, which is basically our destiny, which is unknown. In other words, what is where we are and how we got to where we are and exactly where we are. It's like, yes, we could we could trace things back, and it happened because of this and it happened because of that. But like all those events that led to this and led to that, and how I met that person and how this happened, how that connected, and how I saw someone that was selling the house and I met, and like, this is exactly where I am. How all of that happened is nothing short of a miracle. It is a miracle, but we call it nature. We call it nature because we have no other words for it, but it is a miracle. It's a miracle within nature. And all of those events, all of the circumstances, all of the dots that became connected, and all the people that we met, and the exact timing on everything is exactly perfect, predetermined, and as is supposed to be. So we are the lot, right? And God is throwing the lot, right? And so the holiday of Purim is the holiday of lottery, where Haman threw the lottery on which day it's going to happen. So I think a very powerful intention for everyone, because all of us, want to live more in the state of light, to be in the state of unity, the state of love, the state of stepping into our, soul, like really who we are and from our higher place, right? We want to step into that. We are that, right? That's what that's our mission. That's where we're going towards, really, right? If we don't step into that, then what are we actually doing? Then what are we actually stepping into? If we don't step into that process is the process of our life. It's the process of our reincarnations. It's the process of, the whole world, you know, working towards that. And it's the process of redemption, talking about like redemption and geula. What that means is it's a redemption that the higher light, the higher reality and consciousness of humanity is going to be expressed fully. And from that standpoint, there isn't going to be these silly, wars and arguments and hatred and evil, right? Like all of that is going to be removed from the world. And this is what's a little bit scary for us, because it used to be choosing the heaviness and picking that up and going back. Now we're just like in a time right now that I really believe it's like now we just have a choice of embracing the light, embracing healing through light. In other words, the healing will come and will happen. But the more that we embrace the light, we embrace joy, we embrace freedom, we embrace creativity, we embrace silliness, laughter, the more that we embrace those things, right? This is like what we do on Purim, right? Basically, the more that we embrace that kind of energy, a light energy, the more we heal, right? It's like when we need to look deep and we need to open up like the hood and take a look wherever, it will happen, right? That will happen. But it's like when we're always under the hood, then we're never driving because the hood is always open. So the hood has to stay closed, and you need, and it's just embracing good, embracing Hashem's goodness. And this is kind of like where we're evolving towards, because we're used to the old mechanisms of, okay, it's bad. When is it going to be bad? What's going to happen again? Oh my God, when am I going to get like hit, or when am I going to get like, yelled at, or when am I going to be? And it's like, oh, actually, that's false. All of that is false. All of that is false. It doesn't really exist. It's an energy. But that energy, and it may be in my, in my body, or, in the world on a certain level, but I choose to let it go. I choose the wind to take it away. I choose my breath. I choose to go into my breath. I choose to bring Hashem into me. I choose to pray and ask Hashem for divine assistance. So we could and we need to embrace that light, embrace the unknown light,